The TCL V6C, also known as the P6K in many countries, is a basic entry-level model from 2025 that will also be a good option in early 2026 for people with a tight budget who need something with Google TV. On the other hand, the C6K, also known QM6K or Q6C in other countries, is a mid-range model with full-array backlighting technology with many LEDs and, of course, local dimming. The P6K's backlighting technology is basic or conventional direct LED, without a full array and therefore without local dimming. Before continuing, I'd like to remind you that I would appreciate your support, for example, by purchasing a membership through my Patreon page. You can also make purchases through the referral links I've included in the description. In general, the brightness levels are higher for the C6K, and the color volume is also better because the C6K has more brightness, which helps its performance. It also features quantum dot color technology. But the most important difference is its performance in dark scenes. Actually, the P6K's performance isn't bad or terrible. In fact, it's quite good considering it's a basic model without local dimming. However, anyone wanting better results will obviously have to go for the C6K because, as you can see, the local dimming allows for a better balance between black depth and level of detail. And the amount of the effect, known as blooming or halos, is practically imperceptible in most cases. In other words, it's not bothersome. But it's also true that with some picture modes, the P6K's results improve significantly, as you can see, in terms of black levels. However, the C6K still performs better because it shows a better balance between black color depth and level of detail. Not to mention that the amount of blooming or light halos is imperceptible in most cases. Speaking of image upscaling, the results are very similar between both models. Both strive to show you the smoothest and sharpest possible result when the content has low resolution. However, they won't work miracles because remember what I always say, no current 4K TV will show you 4K results if the content resolution is low. Don't be fooled if sellers promise you the opposite. If the content has, for example, HDR10 high dynamic range technology, both TVs have this feature, which will attempt to further improve the result in terms of contrast, color enhancement, and detail. And if the content is in standard dynamic range, both have this option to try to give that content high dynamic range characteristics, slightly improving color enhancement and contrast. Regarding color, both models have a dynamic color parameter if you want slightly more saturated results. And remember that the C6K has quantum dot color technology applied, while the P6K doesn't have it. In general, the color saturation capability of both models is high, although I'm not telling you to increase it to the maximum. I just wanted to show you what both models are capable of in this area. It's important to know that both models are compatible with Dolby Vision high dynamic range technology. It is activated automatically, as is the case with other high dynamic range technologies such as HDR10, HLG, and HDR10+. Here with Dolby Vision, the difference is that the C6K has an extra picture mode, Dolby Vision IQ, and the results are better on the C6K, although I don't think they're bad on the P6K. And just like in dark scenes, the results vary depending on each picture mode. The uniformity of gray tones is better on the C6K, showing less of a dirty screen effect, while on the P6K, it's more noticeable. However, when viewing content with a lot of color, I don't think that effect is bothersome on the P6K, and on the C6K, it would actually go unnoticed. Regarding viewing angles, you should know that although the brand claims that the panel in these models is HVA and that they would have better results compared to a conventional VA panel, they aren't really as impressive as promised on their websites. Motion handling is good on both models, but it's better on the C6K because it delivers smoother results with fewer artifacts, thanks to the added dynamic acceleration parameter. On both models, you can choose to turn these enhancements off or set them to maximum. For gaming, the most important thing to know is that the C6K has 4 HDMI ports. 2 of the are HDMI 2.1 ports with support for 120Hz and 144Hz in 4K. with variable refresh rate technologies, while the P6K only supports up to 60 Hz in 4K and without variable refresh rate technologies. And in both cases, you can play with Dolby Vision for gaming if your console and the game support it. Both models have their own game bars with different functions. You can switch between 3 theme styles and modify other parameters, or, for example, display an on-screen crosshair whose shape, size, color, and position can be customized within a wide range. But the most relevant aspect would be the picture modes they offer, which, although only 3, will probably be sufficient for many people. Input lag and response times are good on both models, but overall motion handling performance is much better on the C6K, where I personally didn't notice any ghosting, while on the P6K, I did notice some ghosting effect, especially with video games with many dark scenes and fast movements. However, I don't consider it alarming or particularly distracting, given that it's an entry-level budget model. Regarding the smart features, their remote controls are identical, featuring shortcut keys for some applications and a microphone button for the Google Assistant. The difference lies in the fact that the C6K supports the hands-free function, while the P6K does not. Both run Google TV based on Android 12. Overall, the performance is smooth on both models. This covers the hardware. There are some differences in favor of the C6K, such as having more storage space, slightly more RAM, and a better processor core architecture. The App Store is the same. It's, of course, the Google Play Store, and, if necessary, you can install APK files on both TVs. Both models have shortcut menus where you can modify the position of the icons and add or remove shortcuts, which I find very useful. Another difference is that the P6K is compatible with screencasting, but not with multi-visual, while the C6K does have this multi-visual feature. Finally, I want to mention that both in theory and in practice, the speaker system is better on the C6K, both in terms of clarity and bass, because it has a subwoofer. The P6K's sound system performance is at least decent.
I think it's time for a little story. I think it's time for a little story.
To conclude, I want to say that if you can afford the C6K, it's definitely worth it for everything. It has more brightness, better color volume, more balanced performance in dark scenes, a better gaming experience, and a more powerful speaker system. But if you simply need a TV with Google TV and you're not too demanding and you don't want to spend a lot of money, the P6K is an excellent option to consider. That's all. I'd like to remind you that I would appreciate your support, for example, by purchasing a membership through my Patreon page. You can also make purchases through the referral links I've included in the description. Click the like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.